With the first pick in the 2010 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select John Wall. The Cleveland Cavaliers select Kyrie Irving. The Washington Wizards select Kwame Brown.
Hi, I'm Ben Spicer of Wannabe Draft Analyst. There's no question that Kentucky and Duke is one of college basketball's most intense rivalries. It's certainly fitting that this year, Karl-Anthony Towns of Kentucky and Jahlil Okafor of Duke are expected to go 1-2 in the NBA Draft. On today's episode, we'll be comparing and contrasting both prospects, as well as discussing which prospect I think will be the best fit in the NBA. Here's a comparison of both Okafor and Towns. Towns played power forward last season at Kentucky, while Okafor played center. Both are 6'11", and Okafor is 20 pounds heavier than Karl Towns. When comparing and contrasting both Karl-Anthony Towns and Jahlil Okafor, it's important to note the differentiation between the minutes played between the two. Karl-Anthony Towns only averaged around 19 minutes per game at Kentucky, while Duke's Jahlil Okafor averaged over 30 minutes a game at around a 33-minute per game clip. So when we took into consideration the scoring ability of both, we considered that factor as well as several others. But in terms of scoring ability at this moment, it seems the edge goes to Duke's Jahlil Okafor, who led the ACC conference in scoring this season. He has great post moves and seems to be the more NBA ready of the two at this point in time. We gave the scoring advantage to Duke's Jahlil Okafor in this head-to-head matchup. Another aspect that we analyzed when comparing and contrasting Jahlil Okafor and Karl-Anthony Towns was their defensive abilities, and in this regard, Karl-Anthony Towns holds the advantage as well. He's great defending the rim, which is something that NBA scouts will definitely look for, whereas Jahlil Okafor struggles in terms of defending the rim because he lacks quickness, especially the type of quickness that Karl-Anthony Towns seems to demonstrate. Karl-Anthony Towns, as we saw in our previous highlights, is great in terms of rebounding the ball, and Jahlil Okafor tends to struggle at times when it comes to defensive rebounding as well. So Karl-Anthony Towns is definitely a better defender at this point in time than Jahlil Okafor. Defensively, Karl-Anthony Towns has the advantage over Jahlil Okafor. In terms of rebounding, the edge has to go to Kentucky's Karl-Anthony Towns. Jahlil Okafor has shown some struggles rebounding the ball consistently, particularly on the defensive end. Yet, Karl-Anthony Towns has been pretty consistent considering the amount of minutes he played this season on average. Towns averaged around 7 rebounds per game, while Okafor averaged around 9 rebounds per game. Remember that Okafor did play significantly more minutes than Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns has been able to pull down boards both defensively and offensively with relative consistency, and he has a slight size advantage over Jahlil Okafor, which certainly helps his cause. Rebounding was a tough category to choose from, but we gave the edge to Karl-Anthony Towns as well. The last thing that I wanted to take a look at when comparing and contrasting Jahlil Okafor and Karl-Anthony Towns was their NBA potential, and in my opinion, I think both of them have great potential to be successful in the NBA. It'll all depend on where they get drafted, of course, as well as what type of void or role they're expected to play for their team. I think both players have great upside and the ability to develop into great NBA players if they work on refining some of their weaknesses as well as improving on some of their strengths. I didn't pick either Jahlil Okafor or Karl-Anthony Towns in this category because I think both of them are apt to being great players in the NBA. Potential could go either way with these two players, and we took the easy way out by selecting both. As far as choosing who the better player is, I feel like Karl-Anthony Towns is the better player at this point in time over Jahlil Okafor. Towns and Okafor had several common opponents this season, which we looked into a little bit here. As you can see, Okafor played several of these teams multiple times, and it's clear that he probably faced a tougher strength of schedule at Duke than Kentucky had this season playing in the SEC. Between Karl-Anthony Towns and Jahlil Okafor, it's a close matchup, but I have to give the edge at this point to Kentucky's Karl-Anthony Towns. At this point, he's shown better versatility as well as being more well-rounded than Jahlil Okafor. In terms of scoring, though, Jahlil Okafor definitely has the advantage. It'll be interesting to see moving forward in both of their careers which one is able to have a better career and if both of them are able to be superstars at the next level. Thank you for watching this episode of Wannabe Draft Analyst. I'm Ben Spicer. On the next show, we're going to take a close look at Louisville's Montrezl Harrell.